Our football correspondent all year at TheInformer has been the one and only Athos Sirianos from Football Nation Radio, FNR. He joins us again. I noticed overnight the European Champions League is back up and running. Some terrific games, some terrific results. I got a call very early on and I was told by a mate of mine that Krasnodar lost to Chelsea to the tune of 4-0. PSG won. I noticed that Bruges and Lazio played a 1-1 draw. Dortmund and Zenit, Dortmund beat Zenit by 2 goals. Ferencváros and Dinamo Kiev 2-2. Then Barca beat Juventus 2-0. Shock and awe if you're an Italian fan. And Manchester United did something that very few people imagined they were capable of doing, and they did it in about 8 or 9 minutes. They scored 4 or 5 goals.
That's right. I sometimes ask myself, is it more difficult being a European player or an Australian football fan? Because there is so much fun to be had in the early hours of the morning, especially when the Champions League rolls around, George.
Too right. What did you make of the action and what did you make of some of those results?
Look, it was very exciting. It's very early in the Champions League campaign. This will run until May next year, so there's plenty of time for improvement. But for a lot of the big sides, they're working a few things out. So for Liverpool, for instance, they played Midtjylland from Switzerland, and the Swiss nearly jumped them. Liverpool at the moment quite vulnerable, as are many of these big sides, Real Madrid for example. So it's a good chance for these lesser known sides to pull off an upset or two.
We complain about the Australian commentary. I was very smiling with some measure of disbelief. The commentator struggled with young Awe Mabil, calling him Marble. And I thought, no, you need to speak to some of the boys at Adelaide United. They'll set you straight. But he played okay. He played really well. He
did. He had quite the arduous task of playing on Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the best right backs in the world, who is that Dani Alves type defender who loves to run up the ground. He provided 2 assists, I think, and Liverpool were superb when they needed to be. They're well off their best at the moment. I think they know that. This was reflected by Jurgen Klopp, who zoomed down the race at halftime. He was not pleased, and their task does not get any easier, George. They're now without Van Dijk. They're now without Fabinho, who injured his hamstring in the first 30 minutes. So young Rhys Williams came on quite early in the piece.
Well, you know what this means. You're either the making of a new career or serious problems for the defence at Liverpool and challenges for them come January when the transfer window opens yet again.
That's correct.
But Solskjaer at Manchester United will be feeling a little more content, not so much content, but relaxed with the fact that there'll be less pressure on him. Mind you, that pressure will return once the EPL competition starts again, which will be in the next day or so. More matches coming up this weekend.
Solskjaer is an interesting one because he's a great big game coach. Manchester United has no problems taking points off City, off Chelsea. In the Champions League, they beat PSG and now Leipzig as well, with 2 fantastic performances. But when it comes to playing your Burnleys or Southamptons or Brightons, they really struggle. It almost feels like they need 2 managers for against top 6 opposition and the rest.
Is it a case they have troubles, or they're having troubles without crowds, and that those crowds that genuinely do lift you, and you see the 11th man advantage or the 12th man advantage shown up. Very much so. I've been amazed at how some of these matches have rolled and the results we've seen, and I wonder how much falls down to the fact that there are no crowds there. So is the advantage, the home advantage, really a home advantage?
Well, we haven't seen Manchester United lose 6-1 at home in front of a crowd, have we?
No.
Not so much because the crowd is imposing to the opposition, but I don't think the home fans would have been overly keen walking to the fans after the game had they lost 6-1. But I think they're a side that really lift for the opposition, and I think they can sense when they're under the pump and when their coach is under the pump, and he has been really since he got there. And these big games are usually the barometer for Manchester United to really test for themselves, and they do quite well. It's only when they're expected to win and to roll over Brighton or Newcastle where they stumble and they struggle to score.
Yeah. Speaking of scoring, I noticed that there's a guy in the Serie A who doesn't have a problem. He's about 39, maybe going on 50, but he's conquered coronavirus. He's conquered most of the defences in the world. He's played at World Cups. He's quite a character. His name is Ibrahimovic Zlatan, and he's Swede, and some sort of Swede. He's a giant Swede, and he's terrorising these young defences in the Serie A, and his team at AC Milan, which is loaded with young talent, must be loving being led by this grand old man.
Milan has been, they're the real deal this season. They really mean business in a competition which is quite open, given Juventus isn't at the peak of its powers. Milan has been in the wilderness for the better part of the last 10 years, and the club has always been home for Zlatan, despite him travelling all around the world and moving to a different club every year. Milan has been where he has felt most at home and played his best football, and it's shown again. You mentioned his age, and he is in an incredible patch of form. I think he is leading the Golden Boot as things stand. He has scored in the Europa League, so
will he run out of steam? Will he run out of puff? Or can the 39-year-old? I don't think he can play each and every week, can he?
No.
Can he?
Well, nothing's beyond Zlatan, is it?
Not if you listen to Zlatan.
He conquered coronavirus within, I think he tested negative 4 days after testing positive. He's an absolute machine.
Well, he is a machine. One team and one competition that is not living up to its normal fabulous standard seems to be La Liga. We're not seeing the great Barca. We're not seeing the most fabulous Galacticos. So Real is not doing, it's winning, but it's not playing in that manner that sweeps, most sides, away. What's going on? Are we going to see the La Liga return, or is it just too early in the year with all these crazy COVID moments taking a toll on even the best leagues in the world?
Well, when we talk about Barcelona, I think the word tumultuous is almost a bit of an understatement.
They've had elections, huh?
They have. The president and board have resigned as of a few days ago, and Lionel Messi, who has been an advocate against the board, has been really pushing this agenda behind the scenes, responded in the best possible way this morning, along with Antoine Griezmann, and it was great seeing him and Griezmann, who haven't really worked well together over the past 18 months, look really good this morning. They combined several times. Dembele scored the opening goal, looked dangerous up front. They still had their defensive issues and a bit of dysfunction, especially in the midfield as well, but they got the win, the all-important win against the Juventus, who are their biggest challenge in that group, and it's the best way to respond after quite a difficult few weeks.
Bayern in the Bundesliga just cruising at the moment?
They are cruising.
A bit early to see any opposition?
Well, it is pretty tight at the top at the moment, albeit after 5 rounds. Leipzig, Bayern, Borussia Dortmund, all 4 wins and the 1 draw. So nothing too serious happening over there at the moment.
And just before we go, we need to mention that James Johnson, the CEO of the A-League, or the FFA rather, has come up and had a chance to talk to Simon Hill. That was interesting. What did you make of it?
Very promising. We've enjoyed James Johnson. He's a great speaker, a great figure and a great leader for our game. The part where a lot of ears pricked up was when second division was mentioned, and he gave not so much a timeline, but an idea that we would want this up and running by 2022 if we can't get it next year. It is quite a tight turnaround as it is, and there's only 2 months before the A-League and the W League kick off with an additional team, and with the team relocating for the new season.
That's right. Wellington's going to relocate to Wollongong in New South Wales. Look, they did a tremendous job last year at the end of the competition by staying, in this bubble, and it's a tremendous commitment to their club and to their fans that they're going to again come over and stay as one. Athos, again, thanks for taking us through it. We'll talk some more football, and especially EPL next week when you join us on the Informer. If you want to know any more about the round ball code, the World Game, make sure you tune in to FNR, Football Nation Radio. If you haven't listened to FNR before, download the app. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, George.